Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Well, hello, Aki.
And hello, Stevie.
And how are we today?
We are lovely, coming at you from Oklahoma City's Criterion something or other center.
Sounds like fun.
Yes, very fun. Hopefully you won't hear people cursing and screaming just outside the door because they are building a stage.
Mm-hmm. And if you are a patron of ours, you can watch this. This is exclusive, video watching only for our Patreons, going directly to you when we record it. So you are getting super early access as and when we do it. This is exciting. This is new. But if you are a patron, you can now see us as we are, and you can see Aki in his green room.
Yeah. And also, I could be interrupted at any moment by who knows who.
Yes, and that is the beauty of editing.
So true.
Anyway, it is a new day. It is a new dawn. It is a new trek. And hence we are here.
We're here to talk about Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 9, entitled Wejduj, I guess. And it's Stardate 32910.9. You know what? I think it's a pretty laid-back day for the Cerritos crew. Nothing exceptional happens. It's weird. It's a penultimate episode for the season. Just a super laid-back episode.
I love this episode. I would hesitate to say it was one of my favorites, if not my top favorite. My favorite, in fact.
Your top favorite, yes. Well, listen, I mean, they took the Lower Deck concept and they took it to its full maximum.
Mm-hmm. Warp 9.
They took it to warp 9.9.
9.9.
The theoretical limit of warp. I think 9.95 is the theoretical limit of warp. Feel free to correct me, Star Trek nerds.
Of which there are many. All right, well, shall we run it down?
Let's run it down.
It's time to run it down.
Can you run it down for me? What just happened? Can you run it down for me?
Okay, yeah, let's run it down from Oklahoma City before someone starts playing drums. So, no pre-credit sequence. We get right into the episode. And as I said, it's a very laid-back day for the Cerritos. They're beginning a long warp, about 12 hours. And so Captain Freeman has instituted some R&R for the crew. It's a day off. And so when we find the Lower Decks crew at 7 forward, which is what I'm calling their bar, mess hall, Boimler was like, what are we going to do with our day off? You guys want to play some Stratagema? But everyone's got things going on. Tendy's been invited to do something on the holodeck with Dr. Tiana because she's trying to build some rapport there. Rutherford is supposed to be trying a soup recipe that Billups made and then also doing something with Shax later. And Mariner's having like a mother-daughter day with Captain Freeman. So everyone's hanging out with what Boimler calls their bridge buddy. And Boimler's got nothing going on. So they say, like, hey, Boimler, why don't you, try doing something fun? And Boimler says, well, I'd love to, but, it's going to be tough finding a bridge partner to hang out with. And he's like, I wish I was on a Klingon ship in the Lower Decks. And they're like, do you know what a Klingon ship Lower Decks is like? And of course we don't. But fortunately for us, we go directly to a Klingon ship, Lower Decks. So we go to the Klingon ship Cheta. And we actually didn't get names for this. I guess I could have Googled it, but I didn't look at the credits long enough to find out what everyone's names were. So I had to go by how they were. So anyway, it's a bunch of Klingon cadets. They're in the Lower Decks. They get punched awake. Similar vibe to the Lower Decks crew, except it's a Klingon ship. It's dark, it's dirty, it's dingy. Everyone is angry.
And they have hammocks.
They're concerned with honor. And one of them, the Boimler type, I would describe him as, is excited that he's going to get to spend the day on the bridge. And there's a Commander Tog who's been very dishonorable, disrespectful to the captain. He thinks he can step in and take out Tog and become the new like first officer of the ship. And he says it's a logical decision. They all start making fun of him. Ha 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 ha! Logical. What are you, a Vulcan? You want to hang out on one of their science ships? You loser. And they're like, could you imagine being one of those Vulcans? And they make a joke. Ha ha! Avoid death and cower. And then we flash to a Vulcan ship, the Vulcan ship Cheval. And we have the lower decks there, and they are doing Vulcan things. They're just in a science lab discussing things in very platonic tones. One of them, Talin, we do actually get a name for her, discovers an anomalous energy surge in one of the areas, but it's outside of the parameters of what she should be searching. And so she's sort of admonished by her crew for going above her station. But she says she feels, _feels, that this is important and that she should mention it to the captain. And when she leaves, they say she's lost all control. Of course, she never raises her voice or does anything outrageous, but you know how Vulcans are. Back on the Klingon ship, Captain gets on the bridge. Commander Tog tries to make his move. They fight. Tog is killed by the captain when he's stabbed with a ritual knife. And the captain says the new first officer will be whoever impresses me the most today. And then he tells the cadet we saw before to drag the body off. And the cadet has a little trouble dragging off the heavy body of Tog. Back on the Cerritos, Boimler is looking to grab a bridge buddy. So he goes and tries to talk to Kayshawn, the Temerian from episode 2. And that does not go well because he tries to speak a little Temerian and apparently comments on Kayshawn's physical appearance. So he drops in on Rutherford and Shax, who are doing some pottery. And he tries to like chat up everyone, thinking, he's like, hey, so Shax, did you learn how to do that on Bajor? And Shax gets very, very upset and deals with the feelings of rage that he has from having been in the Resistance. And Rutherford tells Boimler that he has to run away, otherwise Shax will get super upset. And Rutherford is able to calm down Shax and get him to go back to making pottery. Back on the Klingon ship, the Klingons are like they're doing what bridge officers do when they're not on the bridge, just eating grach and blood wine and getting drunk and talking about conquest. And they're watching the captain's pet Targ be evil and eat a leg of something. The cadet is still trying to impress the captain, but one of the older Klingons, like typical gray-haired Klingon in full armor with like one eye, says, fetch us more blood wine. And so the cadet has to go get more blood wine. And on the Vulcan ship, Talin is trying to impress upon the captain the importance of her findings. The captain's like, this is not something you should be checking out. She's like, I had a gut feeling. The captain's like, I don't like your gut feelings. But he's convinced on the evidence that they should change headings and check out these anomalous readings. But he tells Talin that her punishment for being so impetuous is 2 days of meditation, not to work, just meditate and get back in self-control. Back on the Cerritos, Boimler drops in on T'Ana and Tendi. So what they had planned was they're doing a little rock climbing, T'Ana and Tendi. So he grabs some hover boots on the holodeck and goes flying up to meet them. And he says he thought he'd hang out with them. But then, of course, his hover boots short out and he plummets to the ground. Incidentally, he's wearing a shirt that says "Go climb a rock," which I thought was very funny. Anyway, so that doesn't work out. As he's walking back to his room, he drops in on Mariner and Captain Freeman in one of their holodecks, and they are having an extremely vicious and personal mother-daughter fight about interpersonal things on the bridge, so on and so forth. But also, while they're doing that, they're doing like target practice and shooting, and it's very violent, very Mariner and Freeman. And Boimler runs away from that. As he walks into the turbolift, he runs into Ransom and 2 other officers, and they're talking about having been from Hawaii, and Boimler joins in the conversation, not knowing that they're all from Hawaii, and they think that he is. And they say, hey, we're hanging out later on the holodeck in Hawaii to remind us of home. And so he goes along with it. So he's going to hang out with them later. Back on the Klingon ship, the cadet brings back the blood wine, and the old Klingon passes out on top of him, and the captain tells him to walk his pet Targ because it needs to pass the leg that it ate. On the Vulcan ship, Talin is meditating, and then her fellow lower decks people come in, and she's actually working on the sly on her program, whatever it is, and they say, you should stop working, you're supposed to be meditating. She says, I want to finish this in order to move on to more interesting projects. That's what I would like to do. And she says she enjoys her projects and wants to learn more. They say that her rebellions continue and that she's not fitting in, that she should get checked out, and everyone's noticing how she doesn't fit in. And she says, well, I don't care if they notice. She says, I wonder if they notice how little I am concerned. Back on the Cerritos, they're hanging out in their bunks, I guess, in between events. Rutherford, I noticed, was playing with the DS9 model on his bunk.
Well spotted, yes.
Yes, of course. I can see DS9 miles away.
I'm sure you would.
Mariner has to report to the captain. Rutherford and Tandy tell Boimler, like, hey, maybe you should tell them that you're not from Hawaii so you don't get caught in one of your weird strings of lies that end poorly for you all the time. And Boimler does not do that. He puts on a Hawaiian shirt, goes to the holodeck, and starts hanging out with the Hawaiians. On the Klingon ship, the captain is drinking blood wine. Oh, I think I found out here that his name was Captain Dorg. He's drinking blood wine and listening to Klingon opera, and he's in his dark room. And the cadet comes back with the Targ, and the captain throws his glass against the window as Klingons are wont to do, and he's worried that the Klingon Empire has lost its way. The Empire used to be feared in this quadrant. Now people hang out with Bajorans and Vulcans and the Federation. And the cadet sort of like still ingratiating himself with the captain. It's like, yeah, it's too bad a race of warriors is no longer feared. And the captain says, you know what? Even though you're weaker and smaller and less brave and strong than everyone else on my crew, you have a warrior spirit. You will be my second in command. So he gets that promotion he long wanted. And then the captain is hailed by a Pakled ship. And the Pakled say, do you have more gifts for us? And the captain says, we'll talk about our arrangement when I beam over there with my new second in command. And as they're walking and talking, we find out that this captain, this has been the plot of maybe part of season 1 and all of season 2, has been supplying these Pakleds with weapons and bombs in order to throw the quadrant into disarray and discord, in order to sort of bring back the glorious days of fire and domination. And so
Kapla!
Kapla!
Klingon Machtajaj.
Machtajaj. Klingon Machtajaj. Not wedge douche. So the Cerritos, Mariner and Freeman, Captain Freeman, are playing what I think is Space Clue, basically.
Yes.
In the captain's quarters. And they get an anomalous reading, and they're both super relieved that they have to drop out of wharf and have something to do. But a sweet parting moment as they go, they both admit they had fun today, arguing with and basically getting on each other's nerves. It's their love language. And meanwhile, the Klingons beam aboard the Pakled ship, and the Pakleds say, we need a new bomb because the one that you gave us, we wanted to see how it worked, and we used it on an asteroid, and now we need the bomb again. And Captain Dorg says, okay, fine, whatever. He beams a new one aboard. And then the new first officer says, that bomb that they blew up, that would create some Matrion? Yeah. Matrion particles, and it could cause people to notice. And just at that moment, the Pakled version of a red alert goes off, red alarm, and the Cerritos shows up because that was the anomalous reading that they had. The Cerritos shows up. They try to contact the Klingons to provide aid, but the Klingons and Pakleds both arm weapons and start to fire on them. And so everyone has to run from their day off stuff and all their day off clothes back to the bridge to start handling business. And Boimler and the Hawaii crew get cut off by some wreckage, and Boimler decides at that moment to tell them the truth because he doesn't want to die with them thinking that he pretended that he was from Hawaii or whatever. And then he realized that none of them are from Hawaii. The two other officers said they were from Hawaii to fit in with Ransom, and Ransom said he was from Hawaii to fit in with his first officer when he was a cadet. And they're all from moons, except Boimler, who's from Modesto. So he's still the odd man out, but at least he's told the truth. Meanwhile, back on the Klingon ship, Dorg they've gone back over to the Klingon ship and on their bridge, and they're shooting at the Cerritos. He's very happy with all this chaos and discord because now it's starting a war. And the cadet speaks up because he's now second in command. And he says, it's dishonorable. Klingons do not let others fight their battles. And Dork just backhands him, as Klingons are wont to do. And says, get out of my face. On the Pakled ship, we also get to see the Pakled ship lower decks. They're basically just sitting there being hungry, doing nothing. Cerritos is doing evasive maneuvers. Shields are like 17%. Things are not going great because they're being attacked by both ships. And that's when the Vulcans arrive. Oh, yeah. And the Vulcans see that the Pakleds have Klingon weapons. And they are getting attacked, and their shields also start to go. And then Talin says, hey, the project I've been working on that you keep telling me to stop is this regenerative shield technology. Killer warrior, Romulan killer nuns. And so the captain is once again reluctantly implements something that Talin has done, an innovation or discovery that Talin has put him onto, implements the program. The shields are back in good order. Dorg, meanwhile, is crowing over the possible victory, and he lets slip that actually he's been doing all this without the Klingon High Council's authority. Just at that moment, the Vulcan ship disables the Pakled ship, and the Klingon cadet fights the captain. And they fight and they battle, and the Targ is there, and there's the knife thing, whatever. And then the captain throws the cadet. He hits the chair and falls down weakly on the ground, plays possum. The captain starts to crow over his victory again, and then the Klingon jumps up and stabs the captain through. The captain's eyes go bloodshot. He laughs, and then he dies. And then the Cerritos and the Vulcans fire on the Pakled ship that runs away. And the cadet on the Klingon ship is made the new captain, because that's how Klingons want to name their captains. And he says, let's get out of here. We need to go talk to the high command. So once the Klingons leave and the Pakled clump ship leaves, the Vulcans are customarily cold after the victory. They say, do you need any aid? And Freeman's like, oh, there was a close one there. And they're like, all right, we don't need to talk anymore. And they leave. And now we know where the Pakleds are getting their weapons, and everyone's curious as to why the Klingons left, because Klingons would never leave a fight. And even Shax says it seems like they left like they knew it was not their fight. And so Freeman says we need to contact Starfleet Command immediately. On the Vulcan ship, Aftermath, Talin is talking to the captain, who thanks her for all her hard work and everything that came in a nick of time and helping them uncover this plot. And then says she's being removed from duty because of her impulsivity. And she says, fine, I'll pack my bags and prepare to return to Vulcan. He says, no, I'm recommending you be reassigned to a Starfleet vessel where your weird impetuousness could probably be rewarded. She thinks that's a bad punishment. And he's like, precisely. Give me real vibes of Enterprise to Paul, who had a similar situation there. And at the very end, the lower decks crew is once again hanging out in the bar, and Boimler's glad that he has his friends, but he's still feeling a little bad. He goes over to the bar to get a drink, and a cadet comes over and asks him to help him because he says he's been having trouble keeping up with his schedule, and he was told by Ransom that Boimler was the most organized person on the ship. And Boimler takes to this like a fish takes to water, and Ransom in the background has a private smile, little far off tutelage.
I thought that was cute.
It was very cute.
Yeah.
And the final scene is Borg Cube 90182's lower decks, and it's just Borgs in their like sleep pods just sitting there while the credits play.
I love that. That was a nice touch.
That was great. I was wondering if they were going to do one more lower decks. That was season 2, episode 9, Wedge Dush of Star Trek Lower Decks. That's right.
There it is.
Kaboom. Well, no time to waste. Things might get loud here in very soon. So let's go. It has to be longer every time. Easter eggs. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's Hagen Berbice at the Lower Decks desk. And we go straight to Stevie Mans in the field at the Easter egg desk. Stevie, how's it going today?
Well, hi there, Aki. Hi there. Good to be here, as always. Coming to you live from the Lower Decks set, and we have some great Easter eggs in store for you today.
What have you got?
I don't know why I sound like a Muppet. I start to sound like Kermit now I'm doing this.
That's news. That's news reporter speak.
I suppose so.
It's perfect. You're doing a great job.
This was jam-packed with Easter eggs. Like so many.
Sure was.
So many. Okay, so let's see. We had one of the first ones I noticed was the tooth sharpener on the Klingon ship, which I loved.
Yes.
We had the Targ, which we first saw in the search for Spock.
Yes.
We had in the Vulcan captain's ready room. We had the Kir Shara in the background. Did you see that? Were you familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me where we saw it first?
No, I couldn't tell you where we saw it first. Can you?
We saw it first in Enterprise.
Yes.
Awakening. I thought you'd like that because you
Wow,
love
very
Enterprise.
good. I was getting such Enterprise vibes. This is fantastic. Okay.
So when Boimler went into the rock climbing scene, he was wearing a shirt that said "Go climb a rock."
Mhm.
Could you tell me where we've seen that before?
No, not a clue.
That was in Star Trek Final Frontier, and actually Kirk himself wore that shirt.
Wild. I haven't
I
seen that
know.
in forever. Good God.
And Spock was wearing hover boots.
Yes, of course. Funky. Didn't put that together. Yeah.
Yeah. We also obviously had the target
Mhm,
practice with Mariner,
Yes,
and
yes.
throwback to TNG. We had Benzite.
Yes.
We had Mordock. If you remember Mordock from
Yes, yes.
TNG. A cute little touch that I loved was when Captain Freeman was wearing her, I don't know, workout clothes. It had Cerritos on it.
Yes.
And it was a blue shirt, which is obviously meant to look like the
Yes.
disco shirt
Yeah.
that they wear when they're doing their stuff.
It reminds me, I need to buy a new disco shirt.
Yes. Now, fun. This was really fun. When everyone was running, do you remember when it was like battle stations, red alert, blah, blah, blah?
Yes, totally.
And everyone started running out of wherever they were wearing costumes.
Yes.
If you pause and you hit the pause button, you see a ton of throwbacks to various different episodes. We see Renaissance outfits, which we think are DS9 throwbacks.
Oh, wow.
We see the smoking jacket that we think Data wore when he was being Sherlock Holmes.
Sure.
We see two women in leotards, exactly the same as TNG with Dr. Crusher and Troy.
Crusher and yes, totally. Doing whatever that weird exercise was.
Whatever that was. Who knows?
Space Pilates.
Space aerobics. Space aerobics.
Space aerobics.
And I'm sure there was someone wearing Robin Hood. And again, I think they love that, I think, in Lower Decks. So that was the ones that I had in terms of Easter eggs. Did you notice anything else? And you got the Rutherford one with the DS9 model.
Yeah. I mean, that was just, it's not even pertinent to the story. I just noticed it was like, ooh, DS9. Which was the gift that Tendi gave him a few episodes ago when they had that whole thing with the party. So it's nice. That was cute. No, I didn't see any other Easter eggs. And
so this I think was curious, and it's kind of an Easter egg, but it's more like a plot thing. So Chulin, our Vulcan who gets our lower decker who gets thrown off the Vulcan ship.
Yes.
I reckon she's going to be our new lower decker / crewmate.
Yeah, gotta be, right?
Has to be, because there's always a Vulcan on board, and we don't have a Vulcan.
Yeah, we gotta have a Vulcan who's like doesn't get anything but kind of gets stuff.
Oh wait, I had one more, and this was quite a fun one.
Hit us.
It was a quote, in fact. So when the Klingon captain, I think, yelled, "Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war," was a Shakespeare quote.
Julius Caesar.
Indeed, which was used in undiscovered country.
That is true.
I'm out of Easter eggs.
There we have it. The end of Easter eggs.
It's back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you very much for tuning in to Easter eggs, and let's move on to our next segment, Quotable Moments.
Quotable moments. What did you have?
Oh, so I loved Avoid Death and Conquer, which was the Klingons making fun of Live Long and Prosper.
Yeah, that was a good one. I missed that.
They did like fake hand signs. I also enjoyed when Shax blows up at Boimler for asking if he learned how to turn pots. On Bajor, Shax says, "You think I had time for anything other than resisting? Fighting fascism is a full-time job." And also when Boimler runs away, and Rutherford calms down Shax, he says, "Put it in the clay, Papa Bear. Put it in the clay." Which maybe I'll just say to people in my real life. And okay, that was probably my favorite weird one-liner. Yes, my favorite one-liner is when the cadet comes back with the Targ and the captain's been drinking in his room and he says, "Captain, the leg has been passed. It was an honorable movement." I thought that was great. It was really, that's such a Star Trek joke. Anyway, yeah, those are my quotes. I also like what Boimler said at the end. That was like more sweet. When he said, "Every ship in the fleet depends on officers like us to keep it running. The bridge is maybe the ones you hear about, but trust me, the real action is on the lower decks."
Mm-hmm. No, that was good. I had two that you didn't mention. And the first is, so when they're doing the clay pottery making, Boimler walks in and you hear Shax talking and he says, "Take your never-ending bonfire of rage and put it into the clay." And my second favorite quote was when Mariner is having a fight with her mom and they're doing the target practice, and she says, "Maybe I'll tell him to adjust the environmental controls to help with your hot flashes."
Oh boy, yes.
This is one of my faves.
I was going to write down some of those quotes, but it was just such a crazy scene that I left it alone. But thank you for taking that one out.
You've got it. Whew.
Well,
is it time?
It's time for next time.
Next time on Set Phasers.
Well, next time on Set Phasers, we'll be doing this again live. We don't know where either one of us will be, but we're going to be doing the season finale of season 2 of Lower Decks. It should be excellent. Seems like it's going to be something with the Pakleds. Very exciting stuff. Thank you for joining us. And if you liked what you heard, you can certainly check us out. We drop new episodes every Monday when there's Star Trek to talk about. And yes, find us wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be there talking about Star Trek.
Absolutely. And please rate and review. The more we are reviewed and shared, the more people hear about this wonderful Trek stuff that we do for fun and want you guys to be a part of. And don't forget to follow us on Set Phasers and at Set Phasers Podcast on the Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, Meme Game Strong.
Yes, Meme Game Strong. Did you like my last one?
I did. Very good stuff.
You
really stepped things up.
Thank you. It's called being unemployed.
Yeah. if you're digging this in general, listen, people are watching this live right now. You're listening to it after the fact, but if you want to support us in our continuing mission to discover what Star Trek has in store for us, you can support us by going to patreon.com/setphasers and becoming a member of our Patreon group there. That means you'll get to listen to these live and hear all of our technical snafus.
Yep.
And
early access.
And also, yeah, you get all the access. You get to see everything. This table's too high and this chair is too short, so it's just my head today.
It does look like a captain's chair behind you today.
This is the only chair I could find. I scoured this whole building for a chair.
Yeah. Oh, and we've got our Netflix Killer Warrior Romulan Nun. We've got our Netflix watch party coming up soon. We've yet to figure that date out, but it is coming up soon. So join us for a Netflix watch party where we all get together and watch Trek online.
It should be delightful. Maybe it'll be Enterprise.
Ooh.
I don't know if people are into it or whatever.
Oh, and we want to say a big thanks to all of our patrons. A big thanks, shout out to Kyle Jaster. Is he our second in command? I feel like he might be a commander or a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Wherever he's at.
I think he's a commandant.
Commandant. Okay.
Commandante.
Well, that's and you get shout outs as a patron as well. So, until next time, I am Stevie Mans.
And I am sleeping in a Borg cube. And this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Computer. End program.